السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. وبعد. Welcome to this daily reminder as we go over some of the gems that we can find in the Sunnah of our beloved Prophet Muhammad. May peace and blessings be upon him. Today we have our session number 12, and we are still obviously dealing with Kitab Riyadh al-Salihin by Imam An-Nawawi. I want to point out, as Maghrib is moving to a later time very rapidly these days, so inshallah maybe this week or next week, basically Monday, Tuesday, we will start around say 8:30 to give you time inshallah to pray your Maghrib and be able. And this is a section on admonition, advice, and being very moderate, being economic in that sense, not being too generous with it. قال الله تعالى ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة. He quotes a verse from Surah An-Nahl here where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and call to the way of Allah, invite to the way of your Lord using wisdom and beautiful advice or beautiful admonition. كل خميس فقال له رجل يا أبا عبد الرحمن لوددت أنك ذكرتنا كل يوم فقال أما إنه يمنعني من ذلك أني أكره أن أملكم وإني أتخولكم بالموعظة كما كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتخولنا بها مخافة السآمة علينا متفق عليه. Invite to the path of your Lord using wisdom and good admonition. And this shows that inviting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a great act of worship. It's a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah makes it an open field, in the sense, open field, that anything that is considered to be wise and it makes sense and it's true, then it can be used as a tool in da'wah. It's something that appeals to the one who receives your admonition, to the object of your admonition. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us to invite to his way, invite in his way, in using our wisdom. And wisdom basically is a higher level of thinking, is knowing what's right, knowing what's appropriate, knowing what is going to yield good outcomes on the long term. And generally speaking, this is wisdom and a good appreciation of blooded, like the very heavy people. Again, they say something when it's not time, when it's not the right time for this thing to be said. They show maybe interest when it's inappropriate and in ways that are really embarrassing. So again, this is lack of wisdom. So the person who calls to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have to be wise, and in order to be wise, you have to be informed. And maybe you want to give the da'wah not necessarily in the form of a speech. Maybe there's a situation that you make, or maybe there is a comment that you make, or anything you could come up with. Maybe it's a book that you give, or maybe you're going about doing your daily routine or something normal, but you're sending subtle messages. That could be part of wisdom. Da'wah has to be given in the best way possible, because if a person who does not have good manners or does not come across really nicely, when they give da'wah, they're going to give the impression that the religion of Allah is not good, that the religion of Allah is harsh, that the religion of Allah is a little bit like narrow and close-minded, and so on and so forth. So the carrier of the message, they're going to give a lot of impression of the message that they are carrying. So this is why reminder and admonition is supposed to be given in the best way possible. And it doesn't have to be like wisdom here. Wisdom does not have to be always pleasant. So wisdom sometimes could be kindness, gentleness, but it could also be a very strict and decisive approach. The hadith here is from one of the students of Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, Abu Wa'il Shaqiq ibn Salama. He said, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud used to teach us and admonish us, give us a reminder every Thursday. So a man said to him, Ya Aba Abd al-Rahman, this is the nickname or the kunya of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Ya Aba Abd al-Rahman, لوددت أنك ذكرتنا كل يوم. We wish that you actually give us advice, teach us, give us this halaqah every day. Abdullah bin Mas'ud said, what prevents me from doing that, what prevents me from teaching you and speaking to you every day and reminding you every day, is that I hate to bore you. I hate to be too heavy on you or to make my reminder too heavy on you. And I'm very selective and I'm very careful to choose. There are people who love to have a conversation and chat and talk a lot. That's their preference, but there are others who don't like this. So if this is lack of wisdom and you are boring the person, you're pushing the person beyond their limits. So this, as we said, could apply to da'wah, but could apply also to all personal affairs. That a person have to be careful. You have to be wise, as the verse suggests, and you have to present whatever you have in a pleasant way, in a suitable way. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, imagine, although he was teaching Islam to his students, and he used to remind them, and he used to do this, what I want to avoid. I don't want to cause you boredom. I don't want this to be too much for you. I don't want to go overboard with my education. And this is why good things, when it's just like, for example, water. You need to let the person go thirsty so they can appreciate the water. You need the person, especially if you want someone to eat well, and it happens a lot with kids, you might want to give them a chance, a time without food, a few hours without food, so that they get hungry when the food comes, they eat. Otherwise, they're like this. This is part of wisdom. This is part of good admonition, is that to choose the right time and not bombard people with reminders and classes and lessons and advice. There are people that every time you see them, every time you sit with them, they're going to pick on some mistakes. They'll have to give you advice. They have to tell you, this is right, this is wrong, do this, do that. There's nothing wrong with giving advice, and there's nothing wrong with reminding people and advising people. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu is saying that the Prophet was very careful. He would carefully pick the time and choose the time, and he would not overdo his advice or teach moments of teaching and so on and so forth. So this is a very important etiquette. There are people who are under the impression that you need every time you see a mistake, you need to keep reminding. You see the mistake over and over again from the same person. Every time you lead the prayer, or where you give khutbah, where you give classes, you get people coming to you and they want you to talk about everything. There are people who want you to talk about how other people talk during the khutbah. There are people who want you to talk about how people's socks smell. There are people who want you to talk about how people are not dressed up properly. There are people who want you to talk about how the younger ones are not sitting still, for example, during the khutbah and making some noise, etc. But that's not the way. That's not the way. The Prophet ﷺ, this wasn't his way. The companions radiallahu anhum, this was not their way. There is wisdom. So and there's a beautiful line of poetry the Arabs had, and it says, ليس الغبي بسيد في قومه لكن سيد قومه المتغابي. They say a dumb person or an ignorant person would not become a leader among their people, in their tribe. But the one who rises to positions of leadership and influence are the ones who know when to turn a blind eye to things. 90% of sound mind and judgment, of rationality, is in ignoring stuff, is in turning a blind eye to stuff. You don't need to pick on everything you see. You don't need to comment on everything that happens. You don't need to teach everything. You don't need to give advice about everything. It just kills it, because the more you have of something, the less people who are, you can see it in relationships. The people who are most generous with their advice, they're going to give you their unsolicited advice without a need. Every time a topic comes up, they're going to give you an advice. They have something to say about it. These are the people whose opinions really don't matter. You don't take them seriously. And we don't want to make the religion of Allah or the truth in this way. So this kind of impression that you have to speak about everything, you have to comment on everything, you have to correct every mistake, and you have to have a stance about everything is actually, but this is not how things work. We need to put these together. The way of the Prophet ﷺ is actually is not to bore people and not to bombard people and overwhelm them, even with good stuff. So this is, I think, it's a beautiful etiquette that we should learn, as it helps us as parents. We don't have to pick on every mistake your child makes. And this, actually, practically speaking, it doesn't help. It doesn't help to pick on every mistake your child makes, be the authority in the house and the know-it-all kind of person at home, that you know everything and you have the answer to every question. People will get bored of you. People would cease to enjoy your company, and people would not appreciate, your input when this becomes the case. So be wise, be moderate in the way you share the information and the benefits that you have. Share the most important. Share when the situation really, when the benefit you're going to share is actually of maximum benefit. So this would be the lessons that we can take, inshallah, from this this hadith and this section. We still have more hadith on this section. We're going to deal with them, inshallah, in the upcoming days. Jazakumullah khair for joining us. Hope you guys are all safe and your families are safe. See you, inshallah, next time. Tomorrow we're going to have a live Q&A session, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. It will be Sheikh Kamil and myself, inshallah ta'ala. Hope to see you there. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.